today's lane we are going to be breaking down is going to be on a flatbed, and it is Dallas, Texas to Memphis, Tennessee. And I was running through this one here in particular because I'm going through an RFP myself out there out of the state of Texas. And it did show some interesting spikes out there for another lane that I was going down on, but we're going to talk about this one here. So if you see, there's a $10 variance on this lane within the last year. All right. So think about all the weather events that have happened in the last year, all of the spikes in the market and everything. This is the epitome of a power lane. Okay. I look at a lane like this is kind of like when we were breaking down Atlanta to Dallas for dry-vans on Monday, you guys. This is going to be one of those ones as a broker, it is very challenging to compete on. Okay. Not saying that it's not available to you, but these are those lanes that you see. And when I see this, the stability of this across that year, to me, that is one of those things like that. It's a tough one to crack into. Again, I'm not saying it's not able to. I'm sure one of the brokers who listen to this show is going to brag about how they're phenomenal on this lane in flatbeds. And that just kind of comes along with the territory. But I look at this at the height of the market, you guys, which is June of last year. If I'm looking at it from a 12-month basis, it was only like $60 more than that. Right. So, it just kind of fluctuates out there. But if you're doing this job the way that you should as a broker, plain and simple, you have the right carriers that are on here who are not changing their rates at all throughout the year. I know that there's a lot of talk in the on social media right now about this. I've been through multiple market shifts in my career, you guys. Nothing that you're seeing right now is new. And most importantly, it's nothing that you're not going to be able to work through with your customers' freight, because there's a lot of opportunity in market shifts that happen like this, because average really excels in loose markets that we've been operating in for the last probably 4 years as a whole. So when you see this stuff though coming up, from my perspective, this is when you can have your time to shine, because you look at a lane like this, Dallas to Memphis, for example, this lane probably won't shift much throughout this year. I don't feel that. And there's a lot that has to come down the pipe here before I will say anything other than that in regards to the freight market. But this lane is the epitome of stability. And if you're out there and you're trying to read some of this stuff, I always talk about the secondary cities that are in the market, you guys. And what I mean by that is you go 100 miles outside of Dallas and 100 miles outside of Memphis, those lanes are going to be affected first. So if you're out there and you're prospecting business specifically inside a flatbed coming up here, or you're currently doing it, I would avoid power lanes at all costs, because I feel like that will be the absolute last lane that there will be any disruption on. And that is for all modes that are out there: dry-van, refrigerated, and flatbed. So as you're going in and you're prospecting new business here, you guys, I would start outside of the major metros and work your way up, because that is naturally where the service failures start in any mode. In the event there is any shift, is the harder it is to get to that shipping city, the higher the likelihood of a tender rejection that is going to come along with that, or a load failure. So if you're out there trying to build a book of business, if you're out there really trying to plant your flag with a shipper, I would start at their most unappealing city that they have. But that market, you guys, what I'm seeing here, Dallas to Memphis for a flatbed, is about as stable as you're going to get. It has been for the last year, and I would predict it's going to stay that way for possibly the remainder of 2026. But stay tuned, you guys. A lot of things can shake out here during that time frame.